Scilly Stories, getting to know the people of Scilly.
Hi Erica, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. Tell me what you've been up to this week.
I've mostly been panicking because Christmas is around the corner apparently, and I'm just not ready for it. And I've been photographing things in the gallery and trying to get things online because I think people are generally more organised than I am. Well, I think I might have missed that boat, to be honest. I think lots of people have done their Christmas shopping already. What have you been doing?
Well, what have I been doing? It's gone a bit cold this week, hasn't it?
It is really chilly, yeah.
Yeah. I was actually laughing because I was moaning with someone this morning about how cold it was. And I was thinking, actually, we're probably the warmest place right now in the UK. So what am I even moaning about?
I think it's about 8 degrees.
Not really that. Not really that cold. Yeah, but Monday you came down to the farm, didn't you? And you did an art club in our new space on the farm.
It is such a lovely space.
Yeah.
Really beautiful light there.
Yeah.
It's just a lovely atmosphere.
It was so nice just to, all of you being in there doing the art. I love that. But it just needs to be, we maybe need to get a wood burner in there, don't we? So it's like nice and snuggly.
That would be amazing, yeah.
But other than that, I'm just getting ready for this weekend because we're going to open up that space again. So we're going to have flapjacks and help yourself kind of tea and coffee, like pit stop, which will be exciting.
It sounds so lovely.
But yeah.
So in this episode, we spoke with my dad, didn't we, a while back?
Yeah.
And yeah, I love speaking with him, actually. I mean, he can be a man of few words, can't he?
Yeah, definitely.
But it was nice to kind of sit down and kind of extract the information from him because he is incredibly knowledgeable about so many things, particularly boats. He does love a boat.
Yeah.
I think that probably comes across.
And especially the Seahorse. I mean, she is the most beautiful boat, isn't she?
It's amazing, really, that, he sat down and just designed that from scratch on the back of some charts.
I still can't quite get over it.
No, it blows my mind.
Yeah, I know. I can't quite work out how he did it all. I also really enjoyed listening to everything about his childhood and the fact that he didn't leave Scilly until age 8. It's just so interesting, isn't it? I wonder how many kids now wouldn't have done that, So it was great to hear all about that.
We didn't touch on a lot of
we missed so much. It's embarrassing how much we missed, really, isn't it? So we might have to go back and do another one.
Yeah, definitely. Perhaps a part 2 at some point. But we hope for now you enjoy this episode.
Yeah.
Okay, we are here today with my father, Stephen Hicks. I'm Erica and Kylie's here. You may also be able to hear again in the background baby Elias, who's a little bit older now. How old is he now, Kylie?
5 months.
5 months.
And a bit louder.
So I think about 5 weeks last time, and we've been that organised. It's taken us 4.5 months to get around to recording the next episode. But here we are with my dad, as I said, and we will start off with, well, our usual question is what brought you to Scilly, but obviously you were born.
My mum, yeah, I was born here. That's it. Sorry about that. It's not a very interesting story, is it? I was just born and it happened to be on the Isles of Scilly.
But you were actually born on St Mary's?
On St Mary's, yeah.
Up at the hospital?
At the hospital, yeah.
And we're all
But apparently when, because Mum was pleased as punch, her firstborn son, and delighted with life, and Dad turned up and said, he looks like a skinned rabbit, and she burst into tears.
Well done,
Mum.
Yeah. Typical Hicks tack there.
But your mum and dad are both from the islands, aren't they?
Yeah, both. Yeah, so I'm one of your actual Scillonians. Yeah.
Yeah. And
the old style ones.
But you've got 5 fingers and 10 toes.
Yeah, web feet.
Yeah.
Were you all born here then?
Yeah, I've been on with more.
Yeah.
And how many brothers and sisters have you got?
2 brothers, 2 sisters. So after me came Miriam. She was the next one. And then Fraser, then Alec, and then Louise, the youngest. So Miriam and Louise are both living on the mainland. Miriam lives in Penzance. So Louise lives up near Truro and Black.
And it's interesting because out of the 3 boys, all 3 have gone into
We all went
boating
or via various means. Yeah.
But that was obviously, is that just from childhood, just growing up on the boats, do you think?
Yeah, when I grew up, all I ever wanted to do was be on boats and on the water and living on an island, you can watch the ships go past, so you always want to be going over the horizon where they are going. I mean, when I was a kid, we still had the Queen Elizabeth, the United States, all the big Atlantic liners flying past every couple of weeks. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I never thought about that.
To see them going past. And, in fact, there was one of the Dutch transatlantic Rotterdam. The captain on there, he used to come over on holiday, and he knew a couple of people, so he would send a message to say when he was coming past, and we would go out in the passengers in the passenger boats and go out and watch them. We'd slow down and come in close and go out and watch them go by. I've just been scanning through a lot of slides that father and grandfather took. There are a lot of pictures of the Rotterdam and the New Amsterdam going past on the boats. And according to Uncle Bill, he said, "Do you know why they stopped that?" So I said, "I don't know why they stopped." So I remember it happening. I presume that transatlantic liner trains evaporated eventually. The aircraft took it over. He says, "Well, they stopped coming in close because one thing the skipper said was, whatever you're doing in the boats, don't cross me bow." What happened? Your granddad crossed his bow and he's never coming anymore.
That was G, wasn't it?
You've got kind of a relation to all the local families, haven't you? Because
I guess
Hicks, but then is it the Penders?
It's a murky soup. Yeah, my grandmother was a Pender.
Oh, your grandma was a Pender.
Yeah, father's mother. Yeah.
And they were one of 18.
She's one of 18. Yeah, 14 survived, 18 born. Yeah,
that's a lot of relatives.
Yeah. And
just Uncle Bill's died this year. He was the last one of that. All that cohort, yeah.
And they grew up at Tremolethon, didn't they?
Yeah.
I love hearing the stories about how, like, the things they ate, back then. Like, if you didn't have much money, you'd go and just eat a seabird or something, Love hearing those stories of that, like, real island resilience of getting food in your belly.
Well, that was the old island saying, I think, wasn't it? Fish and tatties all the week and cudger pie on the Sundays. Which is also fish.
Yeah.
Or scads and tatties, although scads are like poor man's mackerel, Spanish mackerel, horrible things.
Did you ever eat anything like that?
I've tried eating scads. They ain't very tasty, I don't think. They don't seem all that nice.
What about conger pie?
I've tried eating conger, yeah. I caught one in the pots when I was courting with oil. And, she was working, I forget what she was working then. Her digs were in Buzzer Street where we used to live at number 8, and so I took a chunk of it around and left it on the draining board, and she cooked it up. And,
sure, she was delighted.
Didn't find it that tasty. It was a bit strong, really. And Oriel loved it because she came back from work and found this chunk of conger steak sitting on a draining board, and sort of went to cut it up and put the knife on it. It went, sort of, the nerves sort of twitched, even on a steak.
What an offering.
Yeah. So we're still together after all this time.
So we did actually speak to Oriel, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we heard about how you met, but we were interested to know your side of the story about how you met Oriel.
You remember?
Yeah. So I've had therapy since. Yeah, I was crewing for Dad on a Sea King, and she was one of the passengers coming back from an evening trip to Agnes, and I think she said, "Oh, we're cold, keep us warm." She was there with another girl, so I, being a gentleman, I kept them warm and chatting away, and I was off away to sea soon afterwards, or college or something, and so I'll see you when you get back. And I said, "You won't remember who I am when I got back." When I get back. Anyway, I came back and we met up in the town hall dance, and the rest is history.
Aww.
As they say. Is that time of their version, or is it completely different?
It was roughly the same, I think.
It was, yeah. Oh, it's lovely. I didn't realise you'd met so young, both of you.
Yeah, I was about 21, and she's a bit older than me, actually. Yeah, she was a cradle snatcher. She's about 3 years older than I am.
I was going to say, let's put it into context. we will be in. So once you were married, you moved to the mainland, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, I was in the Merchant Navy then anyway. So when we got engaged, I did put my name down, or before we got engaged, I put my name on the council housing list. And just before we got married, I thought I had a little checkup, went to see him, see how that was going, and they said, well, you haven't really got anywhere. So I said, well, why not? I said, well, you haven't got any priority. So what does that mean? So you need to have priority to move up the list. So I said, why haven't we got any priorities? Well, you work away in the Merchant Navy, you don't contribute to the community, so you'll not have any priorities. So I said, have you not considered how your cornflakes and toilet rolls get here? I think they arrive on ships, crewed by people like me. But anyway, I gave up the council list. We went and bought a place on the mainland. Well, in fact, we went away not long after we got married. I packed up Sea and we went into the management trade and pub trade. So we had a couple of years of that. Then I went back to sea and that all went wrong. I went on tugs then, so I was on tugs there for quite a lot of years. So ocean towing, the tug I was on mainly was a modified harbour tug. It was quite a big harbour tug, an old single screw thing, which had been built for the contract in Canada, which didn't really come to fruition in the scale they were hoping. So this thing was surplus to requirements. So they started finding work for it, towing things around North Sea, Mediterranean, whatever. So I actually joined it. They were in Panama and done a job out there, like towed something out that way. And we came back again from there and worked around North Sea, Mediterranean. Then I got work for it. I started off as mate. I did a couple of trips as mate, and I ended up going skipper, which was a bit of a shock.
Really, like that jump quickly.
Well, I wasn't expecting it, but I managed to get an endorsement from my other mate's ticket, so I got an endorsement to go tug master, and jumped in at the deep end really. Which was
what was tricky about being a skipper then?
Well, I just hadn't done a lot of handling of the damn thing, you know. We'd had a few sort of agency skippers, and the trouble was it was a single screw tug with no bow thruster or anything. So a lot of the agency guys were North Sea supply boats, twin screw thrusters, God knows what. Suddenly, when you're confronted with a thing with a one propeller, they were struggling. So I think Alf, who was the full-time skipper, he's give Steve a go, he'll be all right. How he thought that, I don't know. I hadn't driven it that much, but anyway, we got on okay in the end. It was a little bit alarming, but we sort of battled through, and I was on there for 8 or 9 years, really.
How did you end up moving back to Scilly?
Well, after the pub thing folded, we bought Falmouth, where you started, Norfolk Road. We lived in Norfolk Road, so we were there for 9 years, 8-9 years, and came back in '89. I kept trying to get places over here, and it was always out of reach. And around that time, the in thing was selling places by tender, sealed bid tender, which was a nightmare. And one of them was an old place back of behind Buzzer Street, Bothcrossa. Tumble down place. The old boy died that lived there, and it was basically a ruin. It even existed in that. And it went up to tender, and we put in a tender for. I think we bought our place in Falmouth for something like 24,000 from memory, and which seemed like a king's ransom at the time. And we had a look at this place, which had a mattress strapped to a hole in the roof, believe it or not. That's how good it was. Sand on the nose floorboards, sand downstairs on the floor, and slightly dodgy upstairs.
Sounds like my
You got to sort of bend down to look out the windows. I thought it was an interesting old place, but anyway. But it was in Scilly, so it was fine by me. And I think it went for something like 49,000. We bid 23 or 4, about the same as which we thought was extortionate. And wow. It went for over twice what we bid for it. Of course, the next thing that happens is everyone else goes, well, if that house is worth that, mine is worth this. And so the prices all went loopy. In the end, we managed to get a place in Brackley Close because people would buy in the council houses. They had the right to buy thing, and local bloke in Brackley Close had sort of bought his, and you had to wait 3 years, and he waited the 3 years and put it on the market because he wanted to move somewhere with a view. And I was away, actually. Oriel went and looked at it because we looked at a few and put a couple of bids in on tenders and got nowhere. And Oriel was always worried that we end up living in a half-built hovel because we got a tender and there was nothing in the place. Anyway, this one came up and it was just about affordable. And she went and had a look at it and said, "Yeah, we'll give them the asking price or whatever it was," and agreed the deal anyway. And I think, to be fair, the guy that was selling to us, he had a better offer after that, but he stuck with it to his credit.
That's nice, isn't it?
And that's when we moved back, 1989. So, and then we had to move over on our own because I was away at sea then as well.
With 3 kids. Oh, wow. And was it hard going away? You know, like leaving your family and.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's a weird one. It's you're like leading a double life, really. You do all the family stuff in your home, and everything's great at home. It's the same with being in Scilly, really. I love being in Scilly, but so I go away and I hate leaving Scilly, but I like being away. When you're at sea and doing your thing, it's all right. You get used to it and settle into it. But yeah, it's always a wrench when you go and you have to go. But
I remember when I was away at college and coming back, and I found it hard sometimes just to come back into Scilly. And I remember talking to you about it, and you completely understood and said, "Yeah, it's like the circle closes." And you're
you get left out of one of the electrons going around the outside. Everyone else is in the huddle in the middle, and you've got left out since you disappeared. Yeah, it is a bit strange. But,
and what's the difference, would you say, having lived on the mainland and living here? You know, what are those kind of like big differences with island life in comparison to mainland living?
Well, you're cut off from a lot of things you can get on the mainland, for one thing. So you've got, if you're doing any kind of work or jobs, you need to plan ahead for what you want because you can't just go down the road and get it. On top of that, it's just, I mean, I like it. I'm used to it. I grew up here, so it's what I like, but a lot of people can't cope with it. They sort of, I've got to get off the rock sort of attitude.
Yeah, it's funny when
I've never had that. I'm quite
affordable.
Yeah. When I did get off the rock, I was on a smaller thing made of steel, cruising around the ocean. So I suppose the rock seemed all right to me compared to that. But yeah, the mainland, you have to bloody drive everywhere. The first thing that happened, we got rid of the car, which was a bonus. We didn't have a car for the first few years we were here. And I quite liked the idea. David didn't. He was upset that we'd left. Where's the car? We've solved it. And, inevitably, you succumb and have to get a car again. First one was one of Dad's old vans when he got a new one.
Hand-me-downs.
Yeah, the mainland, you're driving everywhere. It's the weird thing about it because when we were in the pub game, we spent a bit of time in Helston, and when we were in Helston, everything you needed was in Falmouth. And then eventually you lived in Falmouth, and everything, when you're in Falmouth living, everything you need is in bloody Truro. And then you find out people in Truro always go to bloody Plymouth, and everyone in Plymouth's going to Exeter to do their shopping. That's the weird thing about the mainland. At least over here, it's confined. It's a set to.
Do you think it almost like slows you down a bit because of that?
Well, yeah, probably. Yeah, it is a slower existence, although it's probably not like it used to be, but it's still a much slower pace of life and easier. I'm going to go to the pub. You just wander down there. You haven't got to order a taxi, or you just get on the bike and go down or whatever.
What would you say are the differences between when you grew up here to now?
Well, I think kids now they do a lot more probably than we did. When I was 8 years old before I went to the mainland. I mean, you look at Elliot's 9 now. He's back and forth like a fiddler's elbow.
He's in every club going. As mainland trips, he's there.
So yeah, I mean, I'd never seen a train or all that. It was all.
Oh, can you remember that then? The first time you went to the mainland?
Yeah. I vaguely remember sort of up on Cliff Road in Penzance looking over the wall. I think I had to be lifted to look over the wall to see the trains on the track below. It was amazing. I'd never seen anything like this. We did do a train trip, in fact, And I think, because it must have been, because we always went away in the winter. You never went away in the summer. There he was working through the summer. So it was always winter time, off season, when you went away. And I think we got the train up to Camborne or somewhere, because there was a grotto up there, and they took me to the grotto, which apparently I was mortified with. And but the train trip was nice. It seemed like going halfway across America to me.
It's still
20
exciting, though,
minutes
isn't it?
up
We
again.
still go on the train with the kids when we go to Mainland, and the bus is exciting.
Yeah.
And escalators in shops.
Oh my gosh, my boys, escalators. I could leave them there for an hour.
Yeah, well,
Just
you've
go and
got-
do
you've got
something,
the
yeah.
same, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, when we went to
Before we used to
Mainland.
go to Tesco shopping in Falmouth, and kids all spent the day on the escalators while she was shopping.
When you left going to and from sea, you then came back here. And was that to take on the business? Was that what brought you back?
Well, take on the business, but Dad and Fraser were in partnership. Alec was still in, because there was, although they're all in association, Alec had actually left the sort of Hicks and Sons partnership just before I joined. He left, I don't know, not long after I came home to live. I came home in 89, and early 90s, I think he went his own way and left the partnership, because it had been Fraser, Alec and Dad in the partnership. Well, I think they found it a little bit stifling, because Dad was I'm in charge sort of character. So I don't think they got a lot of sort of say in how things worked.
And how many boats did they have at that point?
Black Swan, Seeking, and they had a small boat called the Gloria, which took 12. So
Okay.
3 boats, yeah. But Alec, when Alec left, he took on the Southern Queen. He bought the Southern Queen from Uncle Frank Bender. So,
One of many uncles.
so yeah.
And you designed the Seahorse. When did you?
Yeah, well, when I started, I mean, my last trip away was the end of 1994, and I'd been working on the design jobs. Just essentially after there was a calamity up in the Thames called the Marchioness, a passenger boat, out at night on a cruise, like a booze cruise. A bunch of people in the Thames, and she had a collision. They came through under a bridge span and out the other side or something, and collided with a dredger that was going through a different span or coming the other way. I can't remember the exact details there, but it sank the passenger boat, sort of hit it, T-boned it, sank it, and a lot of the people on there were lost. Major tragedy. And they have a thing called the Marine Accident Investigation Branch, basically, which investigates any kind of marine accident. And the Marine Accident Investigation Branch, that came about after another disaster, which could have been the Herald of Free Enterprise. It was a major disaster. A lot of people were lost. And up until then, the MCA, one of their senior people, would investigate the thing and see what went wrong. When somebody said, which I suppose was a fair comment, that they were marking their own homework, really, because it was all MCA people. So,
Yeah, of course.
so they decided that it had to be a standalone organisation would investigate marine accidents and make findings and recommendations. So the Marchioness thing was investigated, and they came out with a lot of requirements for small passenger boats, which is, of course, what Scilly relies on. And the upshot of all that was the winter work, which by that time, because Dad had Fraser and Alec working with him, we would take on stuff to keep them busy. So they were doing post boats. They run posts on sort of charter for the steamship company, shopping boats on charter for the steamship company, a lot of freight runners on charter for the steamship company. Then they would do specials and God knows what for people like Sweb, whoever the power people were at the time, and even the police. I used to get called up 1 o'clock in the morning for the police or fire to take them somewhere. If they get up in the middle of the night and run down the quay and take a boat with a load of people to fix a power outage or arrest somebody or put a fire out or whatever it happened to be. So you're sort of on call all the time. On top of that, the Seeking and the Swan were licensed for winter work, which was 50% capacity of the summer numbers. So Seeking was 85 in the summer and the Swan 72. So Swan could take 36 in the winter and Seeking 42 or 3 in the winter. So But one of the outcomes of this new regulations they came up with, because they said the passenger boats were too vulnerable to damage. If they got damaged, hold in any way, they were all basically one compartment. They weren't subdivided boats because they were open. You got a hole in it, and down it goes. So life rafts came in, because up until that point, which if that's you can understand that as being a reasonable evolution, because up until that point we had buoyant apparatus, no life jackets. None of the boats had life jackets. They just had buoyant apparatus, and enough to sort of support the people. So basically, if the boat went down, you all grab one of the bucket lines on your buoyant apparatus and chatted away and sang songs until the rescue arrives. So it was a bit basic, and it probably did need upgrading. But of course, they went to the nth degree, and the winter boats would not be allowed to be open boats. They had to be weather deck boats. So we looked at various options. One of the ones we favoured was a lock-in. I love the larger lock-ins, but when we spoke to the MCA, or the old man spoke to the MCA about summer capacitor numbers on one of those, it was hardly any. It was something like 40 odd on the largest sort of lock-in hull you could get. So that's not good. So I couldn't spend all that money on a boat that you're just going to run in the winter. It was too much of an investment. So father turned around and said, "Well, why don't you design one if you're good at drawing?" All right then. So I'd spent a couple of years. I was up in the North Sea by that time. I was working for Maersk up in the North Sea. I was chief mate on an anchor handler. So I would spend me off watch time scrolling over the backs of condemned charts to try and come up boat designs. So there's a little drawer there. So I drew up the designs, and I spent hours and hours and bloody hours going through calculations trying to work out if it was going to stay upright and all the rest of it, and comply with the damage stability stuff. So
how did you know that? Where did that?
Well, you learn stability for your tickets. So mate and master, you gotta because I got foreign going masters in the meantime. When I was with Corey's on the tugs, I did manage to get time off to go and do my masters proper. So I had a tug masters ticket, but they were good enough to let me go and have 6 months to put in my masters. So there's quite a bit of stability in that. Probably not to naval architect level, but it's enough I could get through. There's basically columns and numbers, and try not to cock up the adding multiplication thing. There's a thing called Simpson's rules for areas and volumes and that, which you could work out volumes. And I did it all and got the drawings. I spent ages and ages going over the drawings and changing this and changing, because every time you change something, it changed everything else. So it was
just one little thing.
I'll move that there. If I have that there, I can't put that there. And then if that's too small or not, it was amazing how everything. And I ate and slept and dreamt this damn design in the end. And once I'd got it to the point where I was happy with it, I sent all the stuff off to an actual naval architect just to make sure it was going to stay upright when it went in the water.
What did they say? Were they just amazed that you'd just done that?
Yeah, he said you were a little bit out, but considering you've done it on with a pen and pencil, ain't bad, was what he said.
I mean, he must have been blown away that you'd just been doing this in your spare time.
So yeah, well, I was reasonably close. So anyway, she got built. I mean, there were modifications as we went along. Little things would come along that the MCA didn't like, so we ended up getting higher and higher. The MCA didn't like the height of the cabin, so we increased the camber, curve in the roof of the cabin to get more headroom in there. God knows why. I don't even know. If it stayed as it was, no one would have ever hit their head. But they'd come up with these weird things. And then the wheelhouse was originally going to be lower, then it got higher, and because we put the toilet in underneath it, because we were struggling to find somewhere to put that. So in the end, originally the engine room entrance was going to be under the wheelhouse. It would have been like a half height or 2/3 height door. Okay. Whereas as it is, it's a full height door and the toilet's next to it. So things like that. And then after that, because I had forward leaning windows, I wanted windows that lean forward like a lot of ships have, because it cuts down the reflections at night, because we were going to be doing stuff in the dark. So it cuts down the reflections on the windows from all your instruments and light panels and all that. And then I find that if you've got forward facing windows, the height of visibility from the helm position has to be 10 degrees upwards from someone with a 1.8 meter eye level. That's someone whose eyes are 6 foot. So as a bloke about 6'4", I ain't nowhere near that. So we had a lot of headroom in the wheelhouse as well, and so on. So things like that went on. I mean, we worked out. Well, in fact, originally the boat was going to be. I've forgotten that the boat was going to be 50 feet, not 58, and that was another bloody argument with the MTA because we sent across to them our ideas on what the passenger capacity was going to be, and they basically cut it down to, I think it was under like the Swan was 72. I think they made it 70. We said, how do you do that? Because we've worked out the area, but no, you don't just work out the area. You work out the area in the aft part where there's one area. Then there was walkways up the side deck, so that area doesn't count at all because there's no seats there. Then the area forward of the cabin was another area, so you could have the area. There's A area and B seating or length, so you need enough seats and enough area to accommodate the passengers for that area. And then in the cabin was another area. So we looked at oh, this isn't good enough. So at that point we stretched it and made it so same design, but and in fact it's better, I think. It would have been a bit stumpy if it was 50 feet. I wanted to make it longer from the word go, so she would have been a bit beamier, which would have helped. But Dad said 50 feet's plenty for that. Yeah, that's all you need, 50 feet. And so I designed it 50 feet. We ended up making it 58, which I was secretly delighted about.
Yeah, you got your own
it looked
better. And you just thought of every little detail, having worked on it for a couple of years for you.
Yeah, having worked on the association boats and knowing how the system works and what's required. I mean, it's not perfect. No boat's ever going to be perfect. It was designed to work winter time, which most of the boats don't do. So it had to be. She's a very sturdy built boat. The shape and everything is designed to push through bad weather. So
she was built on Scilly.
But it's built on Scilly. Yeah, biggest boat built on Scilly. I mean, Penny Fox was the biggest boat built. Was built by my uncle Alfred. That was the biggest boat built for about 90 odd years. And then we came along a few years later and bigger again.
And your brother Fraser built it with Peter Martin.
Fraser and Peter. Peter Martin was a shipwright, and Fraser and Andrew is now the shipwright who's taken over from Peter. Peter died this year, actually. We lost Peter this year. Yeah, so Peter was the main man, and he had able assistance from Andrew and Fraser and various others at odd times. Alfred did a lot of the metal work and steamship engineers and that, doing various things. So it was. But Peter was the main man, and Fraser and Andrew. Andrew started off as a dog's body. He crewed for me for a while, and then he ended up going back to work for Peter and sort of serving his time as a shipwright. So,
I'd have loved to have seen the launch of that.
It's on video.
Is it?
Well, it's not. It's the tide came in. I mean, it isn't that dramatic. I mean, it's pushed down the beach on the trailer and wait for the tide to come in. But it's on video somewhere.
That was exciting.
Got a CD somewhere. So, quite something.
And you worked on the Seahorse with my dad, didn't you?
Yes. Well, that's how I basically adopted you all as my family.
What are your memories of working on the Seahorse and working with my dad?
We ate chocolate, didn't we? But we're not allowed to tell all that.
Especially with collar and jacket.
Yeah.
I would insist on bringing an industrial size borrow chocolate with it.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. I loved it. We had a great time.
Yes.
I feel like you had such an insane amount of knowledge. I was always kind of blown away by all the things you knew. Like you just go out and some rock and exactly what shipwreck there, and like your ability to contain information is pretty impressive, isn't it?
I always feel like I still got a lot to learn.
Yeah. Well, I was always very impressed by all the things you knew. I feel like I learned a lot.
I remember, I think you must have done a season. I think it must have been the winter after you'd done your first season.
Yeah.
When that was when Lewis died, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in between, yeah.
I remember saying to you, I was just so happy and so relieved that you were working with my dad and after him on that following season, because it was really tough, wasn't it?
Yeah. God.
Not good. The dog died soon after Lewis, Rocky, and of course he was always on the boat. And Rocky and... somebody said, "Oh, where's the dog?" And I said, "I'm afraid he's a goner. He died in April." And she sort of said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It's such a hard wrench when you lose a pet like that." If only she knew.
Oh yeah. Oh.
We lost Lewis in February, then the dog a month or time. We're convinced the dog died to be with him on his birthday. So.
Yeah, we think it's just heartbroken.
Well, he was Lewis's dog, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So no, that was such a sad year.
But yeah, I mean, the Seahorse, after a struggle, we got her through all the surveys and incline tests and God knows what you have to go through to get it all signed off. And because we were on restricted numbers, she was designed to do 100 passengers, and then we were waiting on the Naval Art people signing off to stability. So they said, "Oh, you can run the 75 until you get your stability signed off." And eventually we got that, and so we had 100 for a few years. And then they do this thing called the light ship check. Every 5 years they do a light ship check to check your drafts, because all ships sort of grow, as they say, over time. They accumulate more decks, more cabins, more paint, more this, that, and third thing. But of course, it's a big ship thing. Like, association boats don't really change that much as Seahorse. You accumulate anchors and ropes and bits and pieces like that. And the wood absorbs water for the first year or two. But other than that, they don't really change that much. But of course, they apply tunnel vision, big ship rules. They apply all this, and it's quite tight tolerances. I mean, you're allowed to something like a 5% of your displacement change. It might even be 2%. I can't remember. It's quite tight percentages. So it's not easy on a thing that size to go over. Got a couple of gulls landing on one end, you've blown the calculation.
Yeah. And talking about paint, all of the Hicks boats are painted red, aren't they? Why is that?
I think that probably comes from Dad. Dad liked boats to be red. So I think the Swordfish, when she first came, the grandfather and Uncle Lloyd had her built for fishing, and she was blue, I think, originally. She was a blue hull. Well,
but the Petty Fox was red too, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, she was white with a red stripe. Yeah.
I know Andrew put a bit of red on the Zelda as well. He said, we'd have a nice bit of Hicks red on there.
Yeah, you kind of associate the Hicks family with the colour red.
Yeah, well, I got that. Probably Dad started that, I think.
Yeah. Hicks red.
I mean, Ryan did think about changing it when he bought her, but he's still sticking with it so far. He's talking about doing away with the white stripe along the top, which is just too complicated, too much painting. These people have got the wrong idea altogether. It's how it looks.
It's all about the look.
Just think about anything else that we want to cover.
I feel like we need to talk about your art. We're sat in this room here with all these incredible paintings around us, which are almost, it's hard to believe that someone's drawn them. And that's you. Just another thing to add, another bow to your violin string to whatever the saying is.
It's quite hard growing up in this house.
Yeah, I bet. All this talent.
Just surrounded by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a lot to say, really. I've always, from being attacker, I used to just draw all the time. In fact, I probably drew more then than I do now. I don't ever get time these days. I'm always doing something else. But I still do a bit of drawing and painting. I did one painting last year. But I've been working on this little project with the 19-footer in the shed, which is now afloat. So hopefully I'm going to have more time to get on and do some. But I think it sort of annoys Oriel that I don't, so I just don't, just to annoy her some more. As part of
just got so many talents. I'm just cutting out time for that one at the moment. Have you got anything else to ask, Erica?
I was just going to maybe ask about your memories of growing up on Scilly. What stories or things can you remember about?
Yeah, the trouble is when you're growing up, you don't realise it is what it is. I mean, growing up on Scilly is fairly unique, but you don't know that until you realise everyone else doesn't quite get that, So, I mean, when we were kids, we'd swan off and do our own thing. We were pretty much allowed free rein to go anywhere we want. There was a lot of shooting in those days. I mean, we were all desperate to get guns when we were teenagers, used to wander off. Of course, you get the talk from Dad, don't this, don't that, don't the third thing. And as long as you stuck within the rules, within reason, you were allowed to go off. Yeah, I remember having a 410 on that. But even before that, I went away to school at 11, but before that, we used to go down, me and my cousin John would go down, jump on the boats, go off somewhere, jump ashore in Sampson or wherever, wander around, get back, come home. We didn't see that as unusual. That's just what you did.
Really?
Of course, it's quite unique, isn't it? You don't know that. So, but of course, I went away to Truro, and then the big excitement about going away past me 11 plus, although I don't have any recollection of taking the 11 plus, which apparently is a massive trauma for so many people. But I don't actually remember. I'd passed it for some reason. There was a cohort of us from here went, and we were pretty much the last lot to go on that sort of mainland funded trip, because they were building what is now knocked down the secondary school, which has recently been demolished again. But that was the big thing then in the 1960s, mid-60s. The kids were going to go, that was going to be comprehensive, and all the kids would go there for further education. Was previous to that, if you didn't get 11 plus, you sort of didn't really have a lot of options. You sort of stayed on Scilly and left school and got a job.
Really?
A lot of them went to college after school. They were sort of go to 15 or 16 and go to Cambourne Tech or something, depending on what they were going to plan on doing. Engineering, carpentry, whatever, go to Cambourne Tech and do a couple of years. Fraser and Alec both did that. So, and Miriam and Louise, they all went away and were doing their studies after school. But they went through the comprehensive one before they finished. Whereas, when Dad was a youngster, I think he finished at 14 or 15 and went as an apprentice.
Really?
He was an apprentice shipwright. So.
And when you were growing up, was there many kind of Scillonian traditions? I know earlier we were just talking about winkling, because that's always the first one that comes up. Was there many things like really specific to Scilly?
We always did the Easter stuff, going down and pick winkles at Easter, Good Friday. That's what I still try and do that occasionally, but don't. Usually get moaned at because of the smell and eyes of winkles found all over the house. And
they get everywhere, don't they?
It is remarkable. The Orioles say, I've even found them in the bed. Well, that happens. So that one. There's another one, whistling. I've never done that. They would go what they call whistling. Big spring ties go down with a hook and rock pins out from under the rocks. I think they do it on Agnes, from far as I know, more than anywhere else nowadays. But that was common at one time. Like I said, we always went shooting. Shooting was a big thing in the winter.
Yeah, I remember
we used to get a lot of rabbits.
Woodcock just hang up in the shed. And
we shoot woodcock. And rabbits was the main thing. We used to chase rabbits around. That was the main entertainment.
And I guess that would have been a long time ago. Probably fish and rabbit would have been
we ate what we shot. Yeah. It was you get a lot of woodcock, and Dad was a pretty good shot. Dad and Gran were both pretty good shots. I was rubbish, but didn't hit that much.
Yeah, Fraser's quite a good shot, isn't he?
Fraser's pretty good. Yeah. We used to eat rabbit all the time. It was staple food for us. And then the mixie came in, and that sort of put us off, rather. They'd say, "Oh no, they're fine. You can still eat them." Well, they don't look that appetizing when they got mixy. Yeah. So I'm afraid the rabbits sort of got left, really, and the pressure turned onto the birds more then. But, I gave up my gun license in the end because we went away to live, so I sort of got a habit of shooting. And when I came back, I sort of started to get back into it a bit, but you're so busy with the boating, you're struggling to find a time, because by that time you had to book, and you couldn't just wander out with a gun like we used to. You had this thing, we had to book an area, and you had to give a time, and so you book an area, give you a time, and then we're going to be out shooting this area at this time, and then, can you do a trip? Right, we've got to Norwich instead. So I did actually do a lot of shooting in the end. So then every 3 years you have to renew your license, which makes you feel like sort of a threat to the community that you are with this license. And in the end, I gave it up.
Yeah.
I used to love shooting. I used to do a lot of it. It was like weekend treat. Go off shooting, and all of us would go out. Grandfather, father, me, Fraser, Alec. You'd all be out with a gun, so it was good stuff.
Yeah.
But it's frowned on a bit now. People don't like it very much. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
okay.
how much sort of rough shooting people do nowadays. Like they still do a bit.
People still do a bit around the farm, but not very
I think
many
Fraser
people.
does a bit, and I don't think he does as much as he used to.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's a shame. It should be good for good exercise. Yeah, you're out in the fresh air, stanking through bushes.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
The one thing I was going to ask was, you've obviously been here your whole life. Now, over the years, you must see people come and stay or come and go. And, I feel like locals really have this down. Like when people come in, you can tell they're like, oh, I'm just going to not bother with them because they'll be gone in a couple of years. Like you have this ability to know, what is that? What do you think there is in a person that you think, oh yeah, they'll stay?
I wasn't aware of having that ability, but what does happen a lot, I think, is you get a couple come over and one loves it and one hates it. That's quite common.
Yeah.
And then that it's not going to either. They're going to split up and they're going to go again.
Yeah.
One of them can't cope with it. And that's pretty normal. It's surprising how often one or other doesn't cope with it. And one's having a whale of it. Of course, then it's worse because the other one's having a whale of a time and loving every minute of it. I can't get to the shops. No, I can't do that. Whatever it happens to be. I think it's lack of shops is a big thing. So,
yeah. And I guess some people find it easier to kind of come into this community. It is I wonder if
it's a goldfish bowl.
Yeah, I wonder if it is a bit clicky to kind of get in sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things of being here is everyone knows everyone's business, knows what's going on. You can't get away with anything. It's all up for discussion, whatever you do. So it's probably a bit. I mean, I never think about it. I don't worry about what people say. I think about what I'm doing. I'm just getting on my life, and that's that. But
and sometimes that does have positives, doesn't it?
Yeah. But not everyone can cope with that sort of scrutiny. I think it's probably one of the harder things. But I suppose some people you can sort of sense that they're not going to make it. But
yeah, I find that interesting. I wonder what it is because you see such a real range of people over here. It's not really obvious what makes people want to stay here, and I always wonder what that is. Yeah,
for me, it's just because this is home to me, so I don't really want to be anywhere else. I mean, I like going away. I like travelling around. But I'm always happy to get home.
Yeah.
That was going to be my final question, actually, is just what is it that you really love about Scilly?
Well, it's just a unique place. It's, it's always a beautiful place to look at, when you're steaming around on a boat or wandering around the coast or whatever. It's always, you never get tired looking at the view. I mean, all right, you don't get massive oak trees or all the some of the things you can get on the mainland, huge cliffs or whatever, but there's always plenty of weather and wildlife and good views, and you feel like it belongs to you and you belong to it. So that's what's good to me.
It's so nice to hear, isn't it? I think you true Scillonians, it is a bit like that. It's like you're belonging to. It's a part of you. Yeah, it's almost that belonging to the place is like a real thing. I think it must be really special to feel that.
Hopefully you enjoyed that episode. If you did, you can always like and subscribe.
Or you can, in fact, follow us on social media. We are on both Instagram and Facebook at Silly Stories Podcast. Yeah, we are loving recording these, aren't we?
We are. And we really appreciate all your feedback and the comments that we've received. So, yeah, thank you for that. It's really lovely.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be doing more.